Welcome back, scholars. I hope that you have had another wonderful day. How have you been doing? Take some time to first do some mindful thinking. Let's first take 10 breaths in and 10 breaths out. Let's take 10 more breaths in and 10 breaths out. Great. So, as we discussed yesterday, we're working with main idea and key details, and we read a personal essay from a 19th century Cheyenne Native American called Mahi. The title of this text is Life in My Village. And as we discussed yesterday, we realized that our main idea was that people in the village work hard but also have fun. We read several details that talked about the hard work that the folks in the village did, but also how they had fun and came together. So today, we're going to continue to build our muscles by working on actual main idea, details, as well as writing. So let's go to number 2. What is the main idea of paragraph 5? What details in the paragraph support that idea? Before we even begin, we're going to take some time to reread the passage. It's always important that as good readers, we read the passage to understand what we're learning about and what we're reading, and then reading it again to pull out those key details and ideas. So I'll give you some time to read through the passage. Okay, it will take about 30 more seconds. Okay, let's go back to looking at our passage. So even though this says talk, we know that since we're not all together in front of each other, we're actually going to write this down. This will help us with our writing skills as well as responding to text-dependent questions. So the question asks us, what is the main idea of paragraph 5? What details in the paragraph support that idea? So our first sentence when we're thinking about this is identifying what the actual main idea is. So let's go back to paragraph 5. When we hunt buffalo, both men and women help. The women chase the buffalo toward the men. The men use their bows and arrows to kill the buffalo. So, something that helps great readers is when we think about what that first and last sentence talks about. A lot of times it gives us clues about what the paragraph was mostly about. And in this case, in paragraph 5, we see that this first sentence gives us some clues that when it comes to hunting buffalo, both the men and the women of the village help. So if I were to write, something that would help me is to say the main idea of paragraph 5 is, and then I would explain the main idea. So in this case, I would say, the main idea of paragraph 5 is that in hunting buffalo, both men and women in the village help, period. Now, I have to add in some of the supporting details. So I notice here that one of the details is that the women chase the buffalo toward the men. That's one of the details that helps me know that women help. But it also talks about how the men help in the second paragraph. The men use their bows and arrows to kill the buffalo. So when you're using your response, whether on a scratch sheet of paper or where you have additional space in your notebook, go ahead and answer number 2 in your own words. Be sure to include what the main idea of paragraph 5 is, as well as what details in the paragraph support that idea. Given that we have at least 2 sentences that give us additional details, You want to include both details about how both men and women help hunt buffalo. Once you've had time to do that, we're also going to talk about our short response. I'll give you some time to read over this. Okay, so our short response prompt says to reread paragraph 4. Retell key details that show why the Cheyenne felt their teepees made good homes. Use the space provided on page 31 to write your answer. So, the first step when responding to these text dependent questions is identify what are the verbs. What am I supposed to do? So first we see I have to reread, if it wants to work nicely, there we go, to reread paragraph 4. So we know the prefix re means again. So we're going to read paragraph 4 again. That's our first step. My second verb tells me to retell, which means I'm telling again, but only the key details that show why the Cheyenne felt their teepees made good homes. Let's go back to paragraph 4. Good readers always go back to the text to make sure we're pulling accurate, which means correct information, and that we can make a nice, juicy answer using evidence from the text. So, we're going to reread paragraph 4, and as I'm reading aloud to you, I want you to underline evidence that you see that lets us know why the Cheyenne felt that teepees made of buffaloes were good ideas. I may stop and have you flag a point if I think it's a good idea as well. All right, we're at paragraph 4. We live in teepees made of buffalo hides. We can put them up or take them down quickly. That sounds like one reason why they like using buffalo, to put them up and take them down quickly. The teepees are our homes. Because we follow the buffalo herds, we move often. We can pack up our entire village in 1 hour. So it sounds like the buffalo hides make it easy to pack up within 1 hour. And it seems like they move often. Dogs or horses help pull all our belongings, including our teepees, on big sleds. So this also could be a reason why they choose to use the buffalo hides. Because if the dogs or horses are able to pull them, I can make an inference that the buffalo hide made tents are not super heavy. And based on the picture here, although we see the structure, we can tell that it's relatively thin, strong enough to keep things from coming in, but also light enough to take down very quickly. So, you should have underlined several pieces of evidence you have about 3 to 4 pieces of evidence that you could use to write your answer. So, on page 31, which should be space provided for you, you can write your response. So, ways to get you started is that the teepees are good homes for people in the village. They can be made from the things that Cheyenne have. They can be taken down and moved quickly. This is important because the people follow the buffalo herds, which they hunt for food. So, now that you've had some time to be able to write, I want you to think about your response and how you will start your answer. I see you making a plan. I love to see that. What we're going to do is allow you time to write your short response, and then we want you to go back over to make sure that you have answered all parts of the prompt, which means retelling the key details that show why the Cheyenne felt their teepees made good homes. Now, we know that when we're checking our writing, there's a couple things that we want to use as a check to make sure we've answered lots of our questions. So 1, did you read the prompt carefully? Did you also put the prompt in your own words? We want to hear what your brilliant third grade brain has to say. Did you use the best evidence from the text to support your answer? Meaning, does the evidence that you provided in your essay or your short response, does it match the prompt to make sure that it actually responds to what the question asks you to do? Also, are your ideas organized? Do you have a topic sentence that tells the reader what they're going to learn about? Did you provide key details? Also, did you write in clear and complete sentences? And did you also check your spelling and punctuation? If you ever get confused about how to spell certain things, a lot of times the prompts give you the spelling of things you need to include as well as the passage. Be sure to go back to make sure you don't miss key spelling words. All right, scholars, thank you so much for your wonderful learning today. And be sure to read a lot, love with your family, and continue to be a scholar. Thank you.